Hi everyone. Today we're diving into a project that has been flying under the radar but might be gearing up for one of the most interesting moves in crypto or perhaps quietly fading into irrelevance. I'm talking about Vechain, also known as VT, a blockchain platform that has been through its fair share of ups and downs and now sits at a crossroads between potential revival and prolonged stagnation. Whether you're a seasoned investor, a crypto enthusiast, or someone just curious about blockchain's future, this deep dive is going to be packed with insights, numbers, and analysis to help you understand where VeChain stands in the grand scheme of the market. So let's jump in and explore why VeChain might be preparing for a massive move, or why it could continue being overlooked while other projects grab the spotlight. This is not financial advice. Please do your own research before making any decision. First, a little context. The crypto market is, as always, cyclical. Those who have been around a few cycles know the story. The hype builds, retail investors enter late, and by the time your uncle starts asking about buying Bitcoin at Thanksgiving, the top is usually already behind us. A well-known crypto trader recently pointed out that retail finally made a significant return in late 2024, which coincided with Bitcoin entering a sideways consolidation phase. In other words, the big players were already moving on while the general public was just getting in. And the numbers paint a clear picture. If we look at some of the major players over the last few years, the differences in performance are stark. Cardano is down roughly 70%, VeChain has dropped 85%, Chainlink sits down 57%, XRP is down 38%, Curve fell 70%, Ethereum is down 24%, and Bitcoin is down just 16%. It's the classic big dogs run first, little dogs chase later scenario. The market leaders set the pace, cash out, and leave smaller projects struggling to catch up. This is standard behavior in crypto, though it often feels brutal to smaller investors. Bitcoin leads, Ethereum follows, and eventually, if we're lucky, altcoins get their moment in the sun. The challenge is patience, something notoriously scarce in the crypto world. Waiting for altcoins to recover requires discipline because short-term pullbacks are often mistaken for the end of a project, even when the underlying fundamentals remain solid. Recent analysis of VeChain's price action shows that the token is holding its structure surprisingly well. As long as the price remains above the current trend line and the local demand zone, the short-term bias appears bullish. Initially, VeChain is likely to move in correlation with Bitcoin and Ethereum, but the real excitement comes when a larger structural pattern begins to form and resolve. Unlike many altcoins that are driven primarily by hype, memes, or viral social media attention, VeChain's movement is more methodical. It's a project that rewards patience and disciplined observation. For those who can tune out the noise and focus on price structure and demand zones, there's a lot to unpack here. Timing and target levels will matter far more than the latest trending meme or pump speculation, which is actually refreshing in a market that often feels like it operates on sheer emotion. Let's talk numbers. As of January 11th, 2026, VeChain is trading at roughly 1.17 cents per token. To put that into perspective, that's more than a 90% drop from its all-time high of 28 cents back in 2018. Think about that for a second. If you had bought at the peak, you would be sitting on a massive loss. On the other hand, this kind of decline also represents an incredible opportunity for anyone who is considering dollar-cost averaging or long-term accumulation. Sometimes the worst-performing investments historically become the best opportunities if you have the patience and conviction to hold through the storm. This is the paradox of crypto. Extreme volatility can feel catastrophic in the short term, but extremely rewarding if approached strategically. And that's precisely where VeChain becomes interesting. VeChain isn't simply a token with hype attached. Unlike projects that exist mainly as white papers or flashy marketing campaigns, VeChain has real-world applications. For instance, it was recently highlighted in an academic journal article titled "A Study on Blockchain Technology for Environmental Compliance and Business Transparency." The project is helping companies navigate complex EU climate disclosures while improving consumer trust in environmental claims. In an era dominated by greenwashing and increasing regulatory scrutiny, this kind of utility is significant. Companies are under pressure to meet environmental standards, and VeChain provides a technological solution that is both credible and verifiable. This isn't just theory, it's adoption in action. Consider this. Since 2021, the number of deployed contracts on Vechain has increased more than 15-fold, approaching 1 million in total. That's not the behavior of a dead or irrelevant chain. That's the mark of active development, adoption, and engagement. Price will always follow adoption eventually, though the timing is rarely immediate. History shows us this pattern with Ethereum, Solana, and other successful chains. Real adoption first, price recognition second. VeChain has also been recognized as one of the top blockchain solutions globally. In recent evaluations, it received a score of 9.7 out of 10, placing it just behind Ethereum in the rankings. That's no small feat. This ranking is based on tangible factors like track record, innovative features, and the ability to solve concrete business problems, not just flashy promises or abstract decentralization goals. The ecosystem extends across multiple trillion-dollar global sectors: supply chain logistics, healthcare, food safety, luxury goods, and sustainability. The total addressable market for VeChain solutions exceeds $52 trillion. To put that in context, even capturing a fraction of this market could dramatically change the narrative around the token's potential price. A $1 vet wouldn't be unrealistic if adoption continues and the project captures meaningful market share. Remember, people once thought Ethereum reaching $4,000 was impossible, and Bitcoin hitting $100,000 was pure fantasy. Markets have a way of humbling skeptics when strong fundamentals meet favorable timing. VeChain recently experienced a 4.2% drop to around 1.16 cents amid broader crypto market volatility. At first glance, pullbacks like this may seem negative, but they're actually building the foundation for a stronger base. Each dip at these levels allows strong hands to accumulate, shaking out weak holders and creating a more resilient structure for future moves. The project's manifesto for January 2026 emphasizes utility-driven growth, with a focus on AI integration and cross-chain expansion. Additionally, the recent 9% gains are closely tied to sustainability initiatives, showing a strong alignment between long-term strategic objectives and short-term market performance. Analysts are projecting 2026 highs around 2 cents, which signals cautious optimism rather than any moonshot expectations. Let's be honest, most analyst predictions are intentionally conservative. They are designed to avoid being wrong rather than to forecast potential accurately. In a favorable market with increased liquidity and renewed risk appetite, VeChain could easily surpass the 2-cent projection, though that requires broad market cooperation, a challenging prospect given crypto's unpredictable nature. A trader recently shared that, from a real-world utility perspective, VeChain surpasses most other crypto projects in improving quality of life and solving actual problems. Whether you're bullish or skeptical, the fundamentals remain unchanged regardless of price fluctuations. This mindset, focusing on utility and adoption rather than short-term market noise, is essential for navigating crypto successfully. A common question in the community is, when will smaller altcoins like VeChain see renewed attention and liquidity? Historically, altcoin resurgence follows periods where Bitcoin stabilizes and Ethereum begins to show consistent strength. Currently, we are in what could be called no man's land. Bitcoin is consolidating, Ethereum is underperforming, and many altcoins are taking a beating. Do I believe altcoins will eventually catch up? Absolutely. Liquidity returning to the crypto market is inevitable. The tricky part is timing, which is almost impossible to predict precisely. The key is to position yourself in projects with solid fundamentals, actual adoption, and technical setups that favor upside when market conditions improve. It's important to acknowledge that enterprise adoption has been slower than many hoped. Even with partnerships, supply chain tracking, and sustainability verification, translating real-world adoption into price appreciation takes time. Slow adoption doesn't mean no adoption. It simply means the market hasn't fully recognized the value yet. Patience is critical, and understanding this distinction can prevent rash decisions driven by temporary market swings. To wrap things up, VeChain occupies a unique place in the crypto landscape. It's not a speculative meme token, nor is it a project built solely for hype. It has real-world utility, growing adoption, and exposure to massive global markets. Its price history shows steep declines, but that also presents accumulation opportunities for long-term investors who understand the fundamentals. Right now, the market requires patience. Bitcoin and Ethereum need to find stable footing, and altcoins must wait for liquidity to return. But for those willing to focus on the underlying value rather than short-term volatility, Vechain offers a compelling story, a blockchain platform solving actual business problems, expanding adoption, and potentially poised for significant gains when the market cycle turns. The takeaway? Look beyond the noise, study adoption trends, and keep an eye on technical structures. When the broader crypto market stabilizes, projects like VeChain may finally get the recognition they deserve. And that could be the start of a very different conversation about value, utility, and price potential. That's it for today's deep dive on VeChain. Whether it's preparing for a comeback or quietly consolidating for the next big move, this project is worth watching closely. Thanks for watching. Hit like and subscribe for more daily crypto insights. Catch you in the next one. Stay crypto smart.